to just tell you a little bit about what that project is and give you some updates about what I've been doing with your support. The Inessa Armand project. After finishing Kalantai's social basis of the female question, I put out a call for suggestions for the next project. One of those suggestions that I received was to translate the essays and letters of Inessa Armand, Kalantai's predecessor at the Bolshevik women's section. Suppressed by Stalin and never translated into English, Armand's writings enrich our understanding of the Bolshevik women's movement in the run-up to the October Revolution and the early days of revolutionary Russia. With your support, I have been able to translate all of her extant essays and am currently raising the last $1,950 to cover the cost of translating the remainder of her extant works, which at this point is just her correspondence. If you would like to support the project, all contributions are beautiful. You'll find links in the description. The Punto Final project is a project that is really just at its inception. Punto Final, for those unfamiliar with it, i.e. likely most of the people watching this right now, was a magazine edited by Manuel Caviese Donoso that ran from 1965 to the eve of the 1973 CIA-backed coup in Chile, and then from 1989 to 2018, publishing a grand total of 894 issues. In addition to being a platform for theoretical and ideological debate, they were also a source of excellent political journalism. Their real-time analysis of political developments in Chile, the rise of the Unidad Popular, the looming coup, and the limits of electoralism has aged extremely well, and is well worth reading for anyone interested in the period. The Chilean left is sort of in a media bubble, and the Anglosphere left really doesn't do a great job of breaking that bubble and really building connections there. So the discussion that you hear in English about Chile, even in supposed left outlets, such as Jargon, often has little or nothing to do with the state of discussion amongst comrades in Chile. So this is part of my attempts to contribute to sort of breaking down that bubble and fostering some understanding of the thought amongst revolutionaries in Chile, both historically and currently. I have so far translated 7 articles, including a long read on electoralism versus armed struggle called Chile, the Ballad or the Bullet by Punto Final editor Manuel Caviese, and currently am working on various pieces of political analysis from the eve of the electoral campaign that would bring Salvador Allende to power, or at least to government. These include discussions of electoral versus revolutionary strategy and how and to what extent these things can coexist, discussions of US imperialist interference in Chilean politics, One of the challenges of this project, since its inception, has been getting the word out. The billionaire-controlled black box algorithms that dominate our lives don't like small creators or small projects. Nor are they particularly keen on ideological viewpoints that are inconsistent with the whims of billionaires. What's more, they positively detest anyone who isn't paying for reach. And then they turn around and make it ever harder to do even that in a useful way. The result of all this is that there are definitely considerably more people who would be interested in this project than actually see any of my posts about it. And that's why I have a small favor to ask you. Tell your friends about the crowdfunded translation project. Share the completed translations, link the Patreon and the Facebook pages, All those links are in the description. Let people know that this project exists and what it's all about. Let them know that I want to hear their ideas for future crowdfunded translation projects at crowdfunded_translations@elisehendrick.com. And if you've got any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Ultimately, the crowdfunded translation project is for us all. The whole idea is to translate texts that have fallen through the cracks by making it economically viable for a professional translator, i.e. me, to work on them and to make the results freely available to everyone. I think that a lot of great things are coming out of the project, and even more can result from it yet. But it all depends on making the project visible to the people who might benefit from it and consider supporting it. Thank you for watching for this length of time. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope that it will encourage you to get in touch with the crowdfunded translation project, look at our translations, to get in touch with, to get involved with the crowdfunded translation project. Make suggestions, read the translations, let people know that this exists. This could be a great resource, but it's been a real fucker trying to get the word out about it. So thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Hey, implicit connotations. Well, I'm Elise from the Crowdfunded Translation Project, and wanted to just tell you a little bit about what that project is and give you some updates about what I've been doing with your support. The Inessa Armand project. After finishing Kalantai's social basis of the female question, I put out a call for suggestions for the next project. One of those suggestions that I received was to translate the essays and letters of Inessa Armand, Kalantai's predecessor at the Bolshevik women's section. Suppressed by Stalin and never translated into English, Armand's writings enrich our understanding of the Bolshevik women's movement in the run-up to the October Revolution and the early days of revolutionary Russia. With your support, I have been able to translate all of her extant essays and am currently raising the last $1,950 to cover the cost of translating the remainder of her extant works, which at this point is just her correspondence. If you would like to support the project, all contributions are beautiful. You'll find links in the description. The Punto Final project is a project that is really just at its inception. Punto Final, for those unfamiliar with it, i.e. likely most of the people watching this right now, was a magazine edited by Manuel Caviese Donoso that ran from 1965 to the eve of the 1973 CIA-backed coup in Chile, and then from 1989 to 2018, publishing a grand total of 894 issues. In addition to being a platform for theoretical and ideological debate, they were also a source of excellent political journalism. their real-time analysis of political developments in Chile, the rise of the Unidad Popular, the looming coup, and the limits of electoralism has aged extremely well, and is well worth reading for anyone interested in the period. The Chilean left is sort of in a media bubble, and the Anglosphere left really doesn't do a great job of breaking that bubble and really building connections there. So the discussion that you hear in English about Chile, even in supposed left outlets, such as Jacobin, often has little or nothing to do with the state of discussion amongst comrades in Chile. So this is part of my attempts to contribute to sort of breaking down that bubble and fostering some understanding of the thought amongst revolutionaries in Chile, both historically and currently. I have so far translated 7 articles, including a long read on electoralism versus armed struggle called Chile, the Ballot or the Bullet by Punto Final editor Manuel Cabiese, and currently am working on various pieces of political analysis from the eve of the electoral campaign that would bring Salvador Allende to power, or at least to government. These include discussions of electoral versus revolutionary strategy and how and to what extent these things can coexist, discussions of US imperialist interference in Chilean politics, One of the challenges of this project, since its inception, has been getting the word out. The billionaire-controlled black box algorithms that dominate our lives don't like small creators or small projects. Nor are they particularly keen on ideological viewpoints that are inconsistent with the whims of billionaires. What's more, they positively detest anyone who isn't paying for reach. And then they turn around and make it ever harder to do even that in a useful way. The result of all this is that there are definitely considerably more people who would be interested in this project than actually see any of my posts about it. And that's why I have a small favor to ask you. Tell your friends about the crowdfunded translation project. Share the completed translations, link the Patreon and the Facebook pages. All those links are in the description. Let people know that this project exists and what it's all about. Let them know that I want to hear their ideas for future crowdfunded translation projects at crowdfunded_translations@elisehendrick.com. And if you've got any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Ultimately, the crowdfunded translation project is for us all. The whole idea is to translate texts that have fallen through the cracks by making it economically viable for a professional translator, i.e. me, to work on them and to make the results freely available to everyone. I think that a lot of great things are coming out of the project, and even more can result from it yet. But it all depends on making the project visible to the people who might benefit from it and consider supporting it. Thank you for watching for this length of time. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope that it will encourage you to get in touch with the crowdfunded translation project, look at our translations, to get in touch with, to get involved with the crowdfunded translation project. Make suggestions, read the translations, let people know that this exists. This could be a great resource, but it's been a real fucker trying to get the word out about it. So thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Hey, implicit connotations. I'm Elise from the Crowdfunded Translation Project, and wanted to just tell you a little bit about what that project is and give you some updates about what I've been doing with your support. The Inessa Armand project. After finishing Kalantai's social basis of the female question, I put out a call for suggestions for the next project. One of those suggestions that I received was to translate the essays and letters of Inessa Armand, Kalantai's predecessor at the Bolshevik Women's section. Suppressed by Stalin and never translated into English, Armand's writings enrich our understanding of the Bolshevik women's movement in the run-up to the October Revolution and the early days of revolutionary Russia. With your support, I have been able to translate all of her extant essays and am currently raising the last $1,950 to cover the cost of translating the remainder of her extant works, which at this point is just her correspondence. If you would like to support the project, all contributions are beautiful. You'll find links in the description. The Punto Final project is a project that is really just at its inception. Punto Final, for those unfamiliar with it, i.e. likely most of the people watching this right now, was a magazine edited by Manuel Caviese Donoso that ran from 1965 to the eve of the 1973 CIA-backed coup in Chile, and then from 1989 to 2018, publishing a grand total of 894 issues. In addition to being a platform for theoretical and ideological debate, they were also a source of excellent political journalism. Their real-time analysis of political developments in Chile, the rise of the Unidad Popular, the looming coup, and the limits of electoralism has aged extremely well, and is well worth reading for anyone interested in the period. The Chilean left is sort of in a media bubble, and the Anglosphere left really doesn't do a great job of breaking that bubble and really building connections there. So the discussion that you hear in English about Chile, even in supposed left outlets, such as Jargon, often has little or nothing to do with the state of discussion amongst comrades in Chile. So this is part of my attempts to contribute to sort of breaking down that bubble and fostering some understanding of the thought amongst revolutionaries in Chile, both historically and currently. I have so far translated 7 articles, including a long read on electoralism versus armed struggle called Chile, the Ballot or the Bullet by Punto Final editor Manuel Caviese, and currently am working on various pieces of political analysis from the eve of the electoral campaign that would bring Salvador Allende to power, or at least to government. These include discussions of electoral versus revolutionary strategy and how and to what extent these things can coexist, discussions of US imperialist interference in Chilean politics, One of the challenges of this project, since its inception, has been getting the word out. The billionaire-controlled black box algorithms that dominate our lives don't like small creators or small projects. Nor are they particularly keen on ideological viewpoints that are inconsistent with the whims of billionaires. What's more, they positively detest anyone who isn't paying for reach. And then they turn around and make it ever harder to do even that in a useful way. The result of all this is that there are definitely considerably more people who would be interested in this project than actually see any of my posts about it. And that's why I have a small favor to ask you. Tell your friends about the crowdfunded translation project. Share the completed translations, link the Patreon and the Facebook pages. All those links are in the description. Let people know that this project exists and what it's all about. Let them know that I want to hear their ideas for future crowdfunded translation projects at crowdfunded_translations@elisehendrick.com. And if you've got any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Ultimately, the crowdfunded translation project is for us all. The whole idea is to translate texts that have fallen through the cracks by making it economically viable for a professional translator, i.e. me, to work on them and to make the results freely available to everyone. I think that a lot of great things are coming out of the project, and even more can result from it yet. But it all depends on making the project visible to the people who might benefit from it and consider supporting it. Thank you for watching for this length of time. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope that it will encourage you to get in touch with the crowdfunded translation project, look at our translations, to get in touch with, to get involved with the crowdfunded translation project. Make suggestions, read the translations, let people know that this exists. This could be a great resource, but it's been a real fucker trying to get the word out about it. So thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Hey, implicit connotations. I'm Elise from the Crowdfunded Translation Project, and wanted to just tell you a little bit about what that project is and give you some updates about what I've been doing with your support. Hello, and welcome to Hyperpolyglotting with Elise. I'm Elise, translator, writer, and editor with 20 working languages, and this is the stream where we kind of just want to learn all the languages. Just adjust that. Yeah, there we go. How's everybody doing, chat? Hallo, I am your alibi. Siehst du gern World Cup? Ja, also ich bin eigentlich kein großer Fußballfan, also überhaupt, und so diese WM, bei all dem Scheiß, der da los ist, also ja, ich habe eigentlich kein einziges Spiel geguckt. Welcome, though. Let's see what we've got to look at as I figure out. Get my microphone set up. And yeah. Okay. An update on the crowdfunded translation project before we get started. I am just $50 short of the current fundraising goal for the Punto Final project. So anyone who wishes to contribute is always welcome to do so over at and you can find the translations from the project over at the link I'm about to drop in chat. So, what have we got here? Yeah, it looks like an interesting video potentially from Days and Words, whose takes on language learning I always appreciate. Always worth checking out. I'm just going to drop the link in chat and we're going to check this out. I made learning vocab so much fun that I'm addicted to it. And now, for the most part, I would be kind of skeptical about something that that is talking about learning vocab. Because usually it ends up being about like rote memorization or some other nonsense like that that is actually not particularly useful for language acquisition. But I know that Days and Words, Lamont, is very much an appreciator of input-based methods, the sort of empirically validated approaches that I also strongly favor. Let me get this chat widget where I can see it while we have the video full screen. So I'm very interested what he has to say about this. Once it loads. Where are you joining us from? I am your alibi. Always glad to see new people here. I'm just guessing from your username that English is probably more comfortable for you, but if it isn't, just let me know. I can switch. I have options.
Found a way of making learning vocabulary in a foreign language so much fun that I'm actually a bit addicted to it, and I think you might be too. It is completely free and it's very easy to set up. That's what we're going to go through in this video.
Okay. I'm very curious what this is going to turn out to be. Let's see. Att hysa medkänsla med någon eller något varje med betydelse av att ge konkret stöd, att ömma. Okay, and let me know if I need to adjust the audio on this video.
First, just quickly, why this matters is that in my first foreign language, I didn't have any kind of deliberate approach when it came to learning vocabulary. And while you can get away with that in a language like...
I will say I don't really either. I just mostly, I have mostly just, apart from like some of the most basic things to just get a general grounding, I mostly just learned it from reading reading certain books, often the firm in a translated edition in my target language. So I don't really have a particular method either. I'm curious what he's come up with.
Swedish. If I had that time again, I would use exactly what I'm going to show you here, because in the last month, I've learned almost 1,000 words in a language heaps harder than Swedish, and I'm already starting to understand much more of that language than I would have thought.
He has a whole video out on his channel, which again, highly recommended, about why he is not telling people what language he's working on now. And he has not said what language this is, except that it's heaps harder than Swedish, and that possibly it has some similarities to Japanese, which kind of makes me think maybe Korean, but who knows.
Possible within just a month. So come with me to the computer and let's get this set up. Sorry, one more thing before we do that. Everything I talk about in this video is linked in the description. You're welcome to check it out whenever you want, but
oh, very interesting.
You might not be completely clear on what you're actually supposed to do with it if you haven't watched the video, so keep watching the video. Alright, so here we are on my laptop, which is not the computer I normally use for my language learning, so it doesn't have anything on it yet. Now, I am about to say the name of a program that might send shivers down your spine like it's Voldemort. Just calm.
Duolingo. He's going to say Duolingo, I think.
Okay, just relax. What we're going to do in the video is to make that program awesome. The program is, of course, Anki. I am a former Anki hater myself. I've made videos about this in the past, but now that it looks cool, I actually want to use it, which then supercharges its effectiveness. That's what we're going to do. So let's jump into it. The first thing you are going to want to do, if you haven't already, is to install Anki. You just go...
Okay. A little bit more skeptical now. We've actually talked a lot about flashcards and their utilities and their overuse in the past few weeks.
Throw that into DuckDuckGo because we're not using Google anymore, are we? And
yeah, I'm using DuckDuckGo now too. Hello, Badger. How you doing?
Say download Anki, and then you select which one you want to download it for, and then...
Okay, I think we can kind of skip the actual downloading process, because what I'm kind of curious about is what he's done to make it worthwhile.
Flashcards, you'd have a deck of them, like a deck of playing cards. You have those in your Anki, and they are very easy to install, but we are here mainly to make Anki look cool, so I am just going to choose a deck that will show off this thing, and that is the Russian Cyrillic alphabet. Snob. So you're going to want to scroll past all that and say download, file, import, and that's going to be in downloads, Anki decks, here, and we just say open, and then it's like this one.
So is he what he's doing just going to make it look cool, or is there something else that he's doing about it?
See, in this deck I do not have...
Because what he said in the description, I mean, and not the description, but the title, is that he's come up with a way to learn vocab that's so fun that makes it addictive. And so I feel like there's probably more to this than just making Anki cards look cool, but we'll see.
Learning progress, because it's new for me. Import any deck presets. Yes. First thing it will do after you've done that is show you this overview. On this particular deck, that's not very big. It's only 98. There are some decks out there that are very big decks that are like 10,000 cards. So,
yeah,
it will take
apparently people, like, there's a whole meta around Anki where people compare the size of their Anki decks, and I'm just going to leave that there. I'm sure people will do with it what they want.
Amount of time, but none of them take very long, so you just close that, and now you can see that I've only got one deck in all of my Anki, and that is the Cyrillic alphabet. Okay, so I've shown you all this, but you're thinking, Lamont, show us how to make Anki look cool. This Anki still looks boring. I still don't want to use it.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do next is install some add-ons. It's very simple. You just install it just like any other program, except that it will only run within Anki. So what I'm going to recommend is just 2 add-ons, but
USMLE lab values.
You could even get away with just one of them if for some reason you really don't like installing add-ons. I want to make it very clear that I did not make either of these. I'm just a person who figured out that if you use them together, they look really cool. And also I made something specific for language learners that works really well.
Okay. So apparently if you want to do this, the links are in his description. I've linked the video in chat. So, okay, so we're skipping ahead a little bit. If you want to, I've linked the video in chat if you would like to see the whole thing. But,
the add-on is working. And with this picture, it's probably fine straight from the get-go. It's okay. Still a little bit hard to read because the Milky Way has stars in it and stars are white. This is not the greatest thing in the world. No, it's not. This is just a tribute. The pictures that come with this add-on, they're fine. This one's really nice on this screen. But
okay, I mean, yes, it does look cooler with these backgrounds, but is that the whole thing? I feel like he wouldn't be doing this video if the whole thing was you put cool backgrounds on there and suddenly language, vocab study becomes addictive. Like, it's got to be something more than this. So I'm very curious what.
Problem in a second. it gets a little bit hard to read up here, right? You can't really see these K's or whatever the Russian for K is. This works okay, especially in dark mode, but we're going to make it even better. So that brings us to the next add-on, which this person cleverly copied from Apple and called it Liquid Glass. Apple, don't sue me. Okay, this person called it Liquid Glass, not me. Add-ons, or you can just go Control-Shift-A, get add-ons. We've copied that number. Okay, and again it says I'm fetching that for you, Mr. McLeod. It's done. Thankfully Anki is not very big, so it doesn't actually take very long to restart.
Okay.
Now let's have a look at it. That's a bit better, isn't it? Now we can rip.
Yeah, although it's actually kind of less aesthetic now, I would say.
Really see it, and it just looks cool. This thing just looks nice. Gives us a nice blurry.
Certainly more legible.
This is actually responsive to the size of the cards. So when more information on the card is revealed, this liquid glass effect kind of goes choop and like just looks cool. You can also change liquid glass settings.
Oh, I see. I was gonna say, I would assume something like this allows you to adjust the blur, because the blur is so much so that it actually almost looks like a solid color.
Speed 1 second. I think I have it a little bit faster than that. Spring bounce, I don't want so much bounce. I like bounce in other things, but yeah, anyway. Glass blur.
I have no idea what bounce would be here.
35 pixels for me, way too much. We don't need it to be that much. It sort of hides the background image. Card width, I'm going to say a bit higher. Right, so now you see we've basically fixed the issue with the custom background thing that it had before, which is that it makes the cards really hard to read even in dark mode. Okay, so all of this is looking pretty nice. We've already made Anki a lot better.
Let me just speed this up a bit.
If you saw my post from a couple of days ago, you might be thinking, you promised us something specific to language learners and you asked us what languages we were learning, so I want stuff for my target language now.
Okay. So there's a long build-up on this.
To show you now, I'm going to show you on my main computer just because it's all set up there. I'm going to take you over to my main computer. Let's do it. So what I've done is to collect and curate 160 images and place them into categories for 15 popular languages.
Oh, okay. So the backgrounds are specific to places where the languages are spoken?
There's one collection
that
is
is
non-language specific in that they're just cool designs that...
Oh, okay. There's a language non-specific collection as well. But is this... This isn't it, is it?
Well suited to this purpose.
I mean, I mean, that's cool, but I don't see how this makes vocabulary learning so fun that's addictive, necessarily.
Below this video, every collection, except one that I'll get to in a moment, is completely free and comes with clear instructions on how to set this all up, just in case I've missed anything here. On each of those sets, you'll see a suggested price of $4, but it is just that, a suggestion. You're very welcome to type 0 there in order to make it free, or you can just type whatever value you feel you've gotten out of this video or this channel. Contributions are greatly appreciated, but they're not expected, and no, you won't be charged sales tax on top of that. The tax for wherever you are is included in that. So there is that one collection, the mega pack, that puts all the collections in one place to make it easy for you.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to change this image right now, and that way I can also show you guys the collection of images that I've curated, edited in such a way that they go really nicely. None of these images are mine. They are all available from various free places, most of them from size, like 16:9. And this motivates me, at least. Even just some nice plain ones like this black and white road. This looks really cool. Of course, Arabic is a pretty popular language.
Okay. So...
does actually just have that feature built in. Just remember that the random images will select any of the images, or can select any images that are in this folder. So
I mean, I don't know, I would necessarily go quite that far, but yeah, it's not something that I would expect him to be quite this enthusiastic about. But I mean, yeah, I guess if you're going to have flashcards, it probably makes them more interesting, certainly, but I don't...
So they're going to need to be in this folder, and anything that you don't want popping up in your background of Anki...
Although, yeah, I mean,
this folder, you've been warned. With the liquid glass setting, and with these particular images, and the fact that I've darkened all...
I suppose part of this is he knows that that a lot of people do use them, so in that sense... having like sort of having custom aesthetics for the decks that people can sort of pay what they want to for has some advantages. Actually, it's kind of, I mean, not a bad idea. But
it means I don't really have to worry about how legible the cards are. I found them all to be legible for what I'm doing, so I don't have to worry about that anyway. And why I like the main screen to be a little bit less opaque and the review screen to be nice and strongly opaque is that when you start your reviews for the day, Anki feels like it kind of locks in, because suddenly you get this like a more poppy image. So I'll see if it comes out here. Beautiful image in a little bit more detail. This is, of course, if you were learning Italian or Latin, I guess, wondering why you have to learn 10,000 characters just to speak the language, then this might inspire you. I do.
Although the word is Swedish. Okay, so that's what that is. Speaking of language learning apps, Evil Dia has a video here, and one that I was kind of curious about is this video about the JLPT, that's the Japanese Language Proficiency Test, the N1, of which there is much legend. There are many things that are said about it, about how completely out the box a lot of the vocabulary and grammar and stuff is, and so I'm kind of curious what he has to say about that. And we've also got, ¿Por qué el inglés es tan raro? Why is English so weird? I think we'll start out with this. This is Linguriosa, who has a Spanish language channel where she talks about all sorts of just language related stuff. Often very interesting. And so I thought we might take a look at this. I just dropped the link in chat. And for anyone who would like to be able to follow along in English, she has purpose-built English subs. So, and slow it down a bit. Well, we'll take it down to normal speed.
Muy simple porque no tiene ni género ni casos, las formas verbales son prácticamente iguales en todas las personas. Ojo, lo de simple o complejo es
in all people. The verb forms are
ni casos, las formas verbales
are practically the same in all people. So that okay, that I can see where that happened. This is a good example of how weird English is, because you would think that, because most of the time persons like when people pluralize person, it becomes people, but verb persons are one of the many exceptions to that. So the verbal forms are practically the same in all people. Good example of the weirdness. Ahí vemos justamente lo raro que puede ser el idioma inglés.
Iguales en todas las personas. Ojo, lo de simple o complejo es algo muy relativo, ¿eh? El caso es que el inglés no siempre fue así. Lo más probable
Eso es cierto.
Una lengua a lo largo de su historia comience siendo aislante, o sea, las palabras no cambian nunca, da igual que...
Ok, aquí tenemos el bien. No, yo la ñato bachukam. El llevar aquí casa yo 10 naranja. Bachukam.
Sea presente, pasado, singular, plural, masculino, femenino, como por ejemplo el vietnamita, que luego pase a ser aglutinante, o sea, las palabras tienen morfemas pegados que te dan...
Hablar de los hombres, o de las personas, de los seres humanos.
Información. Te dicen si la palabra es
Turco.
masculina, femenina, singular, plural, presente, futuro, como el turco, por ejemplo. Y luego es normal que esa lengua pase a ser flexiva.
Stalu. Mesa. Tables. Okay, she's describing here this path of development that some languages have, and these different basically sort of broad typologies. You have your isolating languages where everything's a separate word. You have your agglutinative languages where you can just sort of add all sorts of plugins and add-ons to words in order to do all sorts of things with them. And then you have languages that have inflections and languages that don't really.
Que sería un poco como el aglutinante porque también tiene morfemas, pero hay menos. Así que cada uno tiene
Pero
una significación. Como por ejemplo,
Stale no es el caso ablativo, es el nominativo. De hecho, el ruso no tiene caso ablativo, tiene nominativo, acusativo, dativo, instrumental y locativo. Stali puede ser nominativo y solo puede ser nominativo.
el ruso. Y luego otra vez aislante, aglutinante, flexiva, en un ciclo sin fin, como el Rey León. Dentro de esta clasificación, que está muy simplificada, hay diferentes grados, claro. El español y el inglés también son lenguas flexivas, por ejemplo, pero mucho menos que el ruso. Y el inglés está mucho más cerca de ser aislante que el español. Todo esto significa que el inglés antes...
Sí, el español es como una versión un poco menos analítico del latín vulgar. Y el latín vulgar, en cambio, una versión un poco menos analítica que el latín clásico.
No era tan simple, que tenía muchos más morfemas que te decían el género, el caso, el tiempo. Pues eso es lo que vamos a ver en este vídeo. Ojo, tengo un vídeo entero hablando de toda esta intro, o sea que acabo de resumir.
Ok, vamos a avanzar un poquitito.
How are you?
Hey, Elena. Good. How are you? Good to see you.
Okay, so I'm gonna do a video about English. That's why I needed a lesson with you. And it's really, really interesting because I'm going to talk about why English is so weird and why are there irregular verbs, irregular plurals.
Lingua Thor. Or is that lingua THQR? I think it's Thor.
Speaking of irregular plural endings, do you know what the plural of focus is?
Okay.
It's
Maybe there are two.
There are two. Yeah. Now there are two.
Focuses would be the regular one.
The regular one, yeah.
Foci,
Irregular
yeah.
one, it's actually foci.
Like in Latin.
Precisely. Yeah. For cactus, the plural is
Cacti.
cactus.
David Allen Martin. His initials are damn. That's handy.
Cacti. Okay, the pronunciation would be okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, obviously, it's an anglified pronunciation of the Latin ending.
No hay precio fijo, depende del profesor, pero lo mínimo son 5 euros.
Okay. This is just this is an ad read for italki. I know people who teach on there. Okay. Aquí tenemos las etapas principales del desarrollo histórico del inglés. El antiguo, el anglosajón, el medio, el moderno temprano y el contemporáneo.
Inglés antiguo o anglosajón del siglo V al XII. Inglés medio del siglo XII al año 1500.
Yeah, and the farther back you go in this, the more helpful it is to know German and Scandinavian languages, I find.
Inglés moderno temprano del 1500 al 1800 e inglés moderno contemporáneo del año 1800 hasta la actualidad. En el mundo técnico se prefiere dejar de lado el término inglés antiguo para la primera fase. Luego entenderéis por qué. Se prefiere anglosajón y empieza cuando los bárbaros llegan a Gran Bretaña. Los bárbaros son los pueblos anglos, los sajones, los jutos, que habitaban la zona que ahora sería Dinamarca y noroeste de Alemania. Anda, qué curioso, ¿no? O sea que en el año 1499 se hablaba inglés medio, pero en el 1501 ya se hablaba inglés moderno temprano. O sea,
yeah, I mean, this is of course the thing with these sorts of chronologies. These shifts are never quite as clean as they look. She's saying Yeah, with that, wow, that's wild. They were speaking speaking Middle English in 1499, and then they already were speaking early modern English in 1500.
Que en un año se tenían que poner las pilas para cambiarlo todo, porque es que si no, no se iban a entender. A ver, claro, las fechas son siempre convenciones. Las lenguas cambian muy lentamente a lo largo de los siglos y todo es siempre mucho más complicado. Pero como a la gente le gustan las cronologías y poner fechas, pues
Sí.
pone. Y obviamente yo me incluyo entre esa gente porque, como ya habréis visto, a mí me encantan las cronologías para poder situarme un poco mejor en el contexto, aunque no sea lo más preciso. Así que vamos a sacar la...
Ok. A ver. No vamos a ver el video entero. Jefe de prensa de nuevo PS.
La gente que son muy locos.
En este momento, en toda la isla se hablaba anglosajón. Y el anglosajón...
Sí, salvo en Gales y en Escocia. Y en realidad también en Cornovalla. Aquí, bueno, aquí tiene un pequeño error porque en esta época todavía se hablaba córnico en esta parte aquí de la isla. This is, yeah, I mean, she's sort of omitted correctly Scotland and Wales, but she forgot Cornwall. Because Cornish was definitely being spoken at this time.
estaba dividido en 4 variedades lingüísticas, 4 lenguas, 4 dialectos, como queráis llamarlo. El sajón occidental, el kentiano, el mercio y el
kentiano.
norfolkio. Pues la que más prestigio tenía era esta, el sajón occidental. Y al ser la que más prestigio tenía, pues lógicamente es la que nos ha dejado más textos. Pero como te he dicho antes, el inglés actual fue una variedad de prestigio de Londres, básicamente.
El kentiano será.
Y Londres era una zona de confluencia entre el mercio, el sajón occidental y el kentiano. Ojo, el habla de Londres era mercio, un mercio que tendría más contacto con las otras 2 variedades.
Okay, interesting. I had no idea that there was a specific Kentian variation of Anglo-Saxon. Although, I mean, people in Kent do have a distinct way of talking, although not that distinct. Essex and Kent sound very similar today.
Y además las 4 variedades estaban lo bastante cerca como para que todos pudieran entenderse entre ellos, con mayor o menor dificultad. Ah, vale, o sea que el inglés actual viene de una mezcla que hubo del mercio, del kentiano y del inglés occidental. No, viene del mercio. A ver, cuando yo te digo que el español viene del latín, también te estoy mintiendo. Lo sabía, si es que lo dice una señora en YouTube. No, calla, sí. Siempre hablamos del latín clásico, pero el español viene del latín que se hablaba en España, que era una...
Sí, el latín vulgar. And this is... El latín vulgar es lo que explica también cosas raras como, por ejemplo, el día, el problema y otras cosas un poco particulares, peculiares, que tienen que ver con el género, que a veces no es el que se espera. Porque todo esto proviene de la forma en que se aceptaron ciertas palabras del latín dentro del contexto del latín vulgar y la forma en que se modificaron, sobre todo en el plano vocálico. So a lot of the weirdness, what she's talking about here is there's vulgar Latin as spoken in the Iberian Peninsula, and that is where Spanish comes from, most directly. And a lot of the weirdness that you find in Spanish, a lot of the like unexpected genders, for example, those are the result of the way certain words transitioned from Latin, classical Latin to Hispanic vulgar Latin. Like el día, why it isn't la día, because what you have there, I took a course called The History of the Spanish Language a long time ago, really good, and this is one of the first things that they explained, is that you have in Latin dies, and what happened was that you have the third declension, which was the declension that was used for the most part when words transitioned into vulgar Latin, into Hispanic vulgar Latin. And so dies becomes die, and that unstressed that unstressed e becomes a. So dies in Latin and in Vulgar Latin is masculine. So because of that, dia becomes remains masculine. Decent free-ish VPNs. There are two that are pretty good. One is free, one is free-ish. I mean, both have a paid option. One is Proton, as in the Proton Mail people. They have a free VPN that's pretty good. And Mulvad, written M-U-L-L-V-A-D, Mulvad, is a Swedish company that has a pretty good VPN. That one is, I think it's like €5 a month, so about $5 a month. So not too bad. That is the one I use the most, although the free one that I use the most would be Proton VPN. One thing to note for security purposes: if you pay using a card or something like that, if you're trying to protect your privacy to the maximum, paying with a card or anything like that to Proton Mail for the VPN or for paid Proton Mail services creates a record that can end up in the hands of people you wouldn't necessarily want it to end up in the hands of. They do offer methods to pay that allow you to avoid that. They will even take cash. They have a page explaining how you can pay them in cash. But that's just a thing to keep in mind. Of course, this is not so much a problem if you use the free variety, because then it's the only records that that you have to worry about are the records that they keep, and they don't keep any records that can identify you.
Mismo que el latín clásico, pero la base es la misma y las diferencias son las típicas que podemos encontrar en las diferentes variedades geográficas y no impiden ni la comprensión ni tener una visión general del idioma. Ah, vale, ya lo entiendo. A ver, no es exactamente lo mismo, ¿eh? Es solo una comparación para que se entienda por qué vamos a hablar del sajón antiguo. Del mercio no tenemos casi documentos antiguos.
No, okay. Maybe this wasn't, maybe these aren't bespoke subtitles, because this is the second time that mercio, which means Mercian, is being translated as trade, because apparently, I guess the speech-to-text algorithm heard that and thought comercio, even though the co was not pronounced because it's a different word, actually. No es la misma palabra.
Porque no era la variedad de prestigio. O sea, hay muy pocos textos hasta el inglés moderno, hasta Shakespeare. Con lo que tenéis que quedaros es con que eran variedades muy próximas, que básicamente tenían diferencias fonéticas, pero todos se podían entender entre ellos. Vale, ya lo...
Orban, that is vaguely familiar. I feel like I might have used that at some point. Oh, no, glad to help. I would say, if you're looking for something that will allow you to, say, watch Netflix from different locations or something, I would suggest Mulvad. It's Swedish for mole. If you're looking for something that just allows you additional privacy while online, I would go with Proton. Proton is also what I have to use because apparently the Ohio passed one of these bogus digital ID laws and for like use of social media features. And as far as I can tell, literally the only platform to comply with it is Blue Sky, and the result of that is without a VPN, if I don't provide like digital government ID and biometrics, I can't access direct messages. But if I use Proton VPN, I can.
Pero entonces, ¿cómo era esa lengua? Como he dicho al principio, era una lengua muy flexiva, un poco como el latín. O sea, tenía declinaciones, casos, los verbos se podían conjugar en 4 personas diferentes. Pero entonces ha cambiado muchísimo en muy poco tiempo, ¿no? Sí, la verdad es que es increíble. Nominativo acusativo eran 2, pero casi siempre tenían la misma forma. Genitivo, otro, y dativo, el cuarto. Y tenía 3 géneros, masculino, femenino y neutro.
O sea, como el alemán, como el islandés.
En ese momento es probable que, excepto el francés y el occitano, que mantuvieron una pequeña declinación hasta más o menos el siglo XII, bueno, y el birmano, que todavía...
A small decline. A small decline for declinación. Declension.
ya las tiene, el resto de lenguas romances ya no tuviera casos. O sea que desde el siglo IX hasta ahora ellos han perdido muchísimos más rasgos morfológicos que nosotros. Bueno, venga, pero ¿cómo era? Pues cada género tenía su artículo. Se para el masculino.
Seo, that.
Seo para el femenino, that para el neutro. Se mud, la boca. Seo tunge, la lengua. That eage, el ojo.
Yeah, that. Thav in Icelandic, or de, D-E-T in the other Scandies.
Que he podido con la pronunciación. Bueno, pues el de del inglés actual vendría de ese that neutro. Luego había terminaciones que eran típicamente masculinas, típicamente...
También, de ahí proviene también that.
femeninas, como tenemos ahora en español. Dom, hat, shipe, ere, corresponderían a las actuales dom, hood, ship, air. Bueno, pues estas normalmente...
Tum, height, shaft,
eran masculinas. Por ejemplo, se wisdom, se kill hat. A ver, aquí hay manuales que dicen que C más una E o una I se pronuncia como una ch, mientras que otros dicen que se pronunciaría como una ke, ki, pero adelantando un poquito esa K hacia adelante.
Interesting.
O sea, haciendo una K palatalizada, algo así como se freonshipe, se fischere, se junta. O sea, sabiduría, niñez, amistad, pescador, cazador.
Just going to skip ahead a little bit more.
Vocal radical para hacer el pasado. Keowad, kuwon. Y eso lo vemos ahora también en los verbos irregulares del inglés actual. Por ejemplo, write, wrote, written.
Wormus his lichaman killeth. Worms chew his body. Lichaman, like licham. Kuon. Los gusanos mastican, se comen su cuerpo.
Cambian su vocal radical para hacer el pasado. Keowad, kuwon. Y eso lo vemos ahora también en los verbos irregulares del inglés actual. Por ejemplo, write, wrote, written, bite, bit, bitten. Ojo, esa vocal es diferente aunque ortográficamente se escriba con la I. Y sin embargo, el verbo masticar, que es el que teníamos en el ejemplo, se ha regularizado. Antes hemos visto que el presente era keowad, que pasaba a kuwon y ahora...
Okay, so this looks like it's probably quite an interesting video. And we're going to move on a little bit and see what else we've got to look at. Kind of curious, this how to turn YouTube into a pure language immersion machine. I'm a big believer in using the wealth of random crap that is YouTube for language learning purposes.
But 9 out of 10
I'm not for nothing that I'm here on YouTube, the tube that is you, apparently. I'm curious about ways that people come up with to do it.
videos on your feed are not Japanese. The one that is Japanese is way too difficult and boring.
Okay.
So you check the recommendations and the cycle repeats. Today I'll show you how to completely reset YouTube into a pure...
Okay, yeah, I mean, this is true. This is a problem, especially if you do not know your target language well enough to come up with good search terms, because everything comes down to having good search terms in order to come up with something really good. It seems like this is going to be focused on Japanese, but we'll see see how transferable it is.
Machine, so that you can acquire natural, unscripted Japanese used by natives in real life. Stay tuned. First, let's talk about why you should use YouTube and who this guide is for. So,
Okay.
number one, YouTube has a variety of unscripted and scripted videos, which means you get the best of both worlds.
Yes.
Here are the
I mean, and just a huge variety. There's all sorts of just completely random stuff on all sorts of subjects.
benefits of unscripted videos with some examples. People will use words and slang that aren't common in scripted content.
すごないですか。
胴体ちょん切るからそんなべらぼうに作んなくても
かまそう。
それは多分焼き餅ってやつだなそこ食べくどきなさい
They will talk with disconnected thoughts.
Yeah, you get more filler words, which are very useful to have. I mean, a lot of this stuff is transferable. So because, like, for example, if you're trying to really learn the way people talk when they don't have a script and have to actually think about what they're saying, yeah, which is very useful when you're just getting used to speaking in a language, then hearing the sort of things that people do in your target language, that native speakers do in order to stall and buy time, is very useful. Knowing, because every language is a little bit different with how it does it.
でも男性はもう
Slurred or unclear speech.
で、男性じゃねえかみたいな意地をするのが多分 YouTuber としての、
いやそうだよそれは。
And speak at a generally faster pace.
今回ちょっと入りから私がセミのチョコかけがめちゃめちゃうまいという話をしてますけど、
ねえ、よかった本当に心の底からエイペックスです探している方々でした。
All of these things reflect how Japanese people speak in real life, because that's exactly what it is.
Is this language reactor that they're using here? If so, it seems to have improved, because when I took a look at language reactor on YouTube, it was just harvesting the mostly automatically generated subtitles in the languages, and that was not great.
On the other hand, we have scripted videos which also come with their own benefits. Typically, they have clearer enunciation.
声をかけてきたのは迷惑防止条例で禁止されている
迷惑防止条例だって。
客引きです。
The thoughts and pacing are easy to follow.
街の雰囲気についてなんですけどなんかこうだいぶレトロな日本って感じでまあそこまで違和感はないですね
Generally speaking, these sentences are grammatically correct.
八神先生に弁護の依頼です依頼人は大久保新平
Okay.
And
Yeah, I mean, okay, so I'm gonna skip over some of this because I'm interested in the recommendations. And I'm also very specifically interested in the stuff that's more transferable as well. So, Japanese YouTube account setup. Okay, so here we get into the specifics.
not just what videos you watch, but what language
Is coffee soup, crepe recipe, learn Japanese, algorithm.
languages you use as well. So if we want YouTube to only feed us Japanese content, we have to trick YouTube into believing that we are a native Japanese person.
Okay, interesting. So what he's talking about here, and this does make sense, and I had never thought of it, but it does make sense, and you don't need to do a whole lot in order to, like, you don't need to create an entirely new Google account to do this. I mean, you can if you want to, and maybe there are benefits, I don't know, I haven't actually experimented with this before. But, so the idea is, you set up an entirely new YouTube account that is going to have everything in your target language. Okay, that makes sense. I am very curious how this would work, and I think actually, after we look at this, I may actually try this out with one of my target languages at the moment and see what happens. But okay, so YouTube is going to, I guess, make its recommendations assuming that the language that they should be in is Japanese. Neat. Okay, it makes perfect sense so far.
Here's how we'll do this. Step 1, we want to trick YouTube into believing that we're physically in Japan. Aside from
I don't think that's actually strictly necessary, but I don't think it would hurt. I'm going to try, when I do this, I'm going to try it out without actually doing any kind of VPN stuff, especially because the thing about having a free VPN when you're streaming is that, you remember a few weeks ago, OBS kept on disconnecting and reconnecting repeatedly, and it was a huge pain in the ass, and the reason was I had left the Proton VPN on, and I guess it was getting throttled. I had overused my bandwidth that was allocated to me or something. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to do it without, and just kind of set up a new account. And, well, I mean, my inclination is to do Georgian. But if anyone in chat has another language they would like to suggest for this purpose, they are certainly welcome to do so. Okay, so there we go. That seems to be the first step. Cool. Makes sense.
being actually, in Japan, we can also do this at home by using a VPN.
Okay, we know the concept of VPNs. Okay, so he's suggesting a new Gmail account as well. I don't think that is necessarily required.
In Japanese content. Depending on where you live, you may be forced to give a phone number. Now, giving a Japanese phone number would be ideal, but if you don't have one, there's nothing we can do about that. You just have to give your regular phone number.
Okay, part of what we're going to test out is we're not going to do these things. We're not going to set up the new Gmail account. We're not going to set up we're certainly not going to give a fucking phone number to YouTube. And we're going to see how we go. And either it works well or it doesn't work well. I think, my recommendations, there isn't a whole lot of overlap between the recommendations for my existing YouTube channels. I mean, my existing YouTube accounts. So I think we can skip some of these. Some of these steps that are, I don't think it would hurt to have them, but I think we might be able to just kind of give them a miss and get the same result. We're going to find out anyway.
The steps should still work regardless, so don't worry about it too much. By the way, if you include Jozugumi as part of your name and I see you commenting on a video, I guarantee I will respond to you as well. Okay, so now...
Oh, neat. Okay.
Now it's set up, how do we go about teaching the algorithm? Well, you may have noticed that my UI is all in Japanese because this...
See, I think that would matter more for the recommendations than location. Because, of course, you might be in one part of the world, but your home language is something that is centered someplace else for the most part.
Is, in fact, one of the things that YouTube looks at. Matter of fact, if you want to pause and read, here is a list of factors that affect...
Okay. So we've got... Okay, what are the factors? Watched videos, not watched videos, watch history, physical location, region setting. So you just... okay, region setting makes sense. Preferred language, similar user interest. Okay.
Affects YouTube's judgment. So with these factors in mind, always remember the main rule of this channel. Only watch videos for Japanese people in Japanese. This means that even if the video is in Japanese but is aimed for learners, that's not what you want to watch on this account.
Okay.
If you do want to watch...
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. If you're trying to create something, and one thing I would note is, if this is something that is really good, if you have already reached a certain level. Because native content is always going to be more challenging a lot of the time. I mean, there are exceptions, but the lower your level is, the more recently you started in a language, the more active curation it is going to require to engage with native content, because it's going to be harder. There's going to be much less native content that is going to be at your sort of sweet space spot of N+1. So this is the sort of method that makes sense if you've already got a reasonable grasp on the basics and can understand halfway decently a video on a subject that interests you in your target language, I would say. If you are just beginning, I don't think it hurts to do this, but this isn't going to be optimal input for you. Let me put it that way.
Non-Japanese aimed content, make sure you change accounts first.
Yes.
In addition, when YouTube recommends you videos in the wrong language, hit the 3 little dots here and say do not recommend this channel or not interested. If you accidentally watch a video in the wrong language, go to your watch history and delete it. Same applies for shorts. Furthermore, double check in your settings that your new account's regional preference is set to Japan.
Yeah, or whatever the country of your target language.
And also set the language of everything else into
Display
Japanese.
language.
Remember that YouTube tracks not just the language of YouTube itself, but the language of your browser, as well as the language of your computer or...
Okay. Yeah, which is, I have to say, that these are all sorts of reasons. You just, the level of surveillance that is implied by all of this are all good reasons, actually, to want to have a VPN or a VM or something like that. Something that will allow you a bit more control over what information you are sharing with these websites about what goes on your home computer. But yeah, I mean, true. It'll be interesting. I'm not going to change any of this shit, though. I am just going to set up, linked to my existing Gmail, to like Google account, an account in a target language. It'll be a surprise, and suggestions are welcome. This is something that's going to happen after the bio break, which is going to be coming after we're done watching this. But okay, so got the general idea. Okay, so what to watch? Let's see if I mean...
your account ready to go, but what do you even watch? Now, this goes back to the types of people that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. If you are type A, you are already into either anime, manga, VTubers, games, films, TV shows, books, or something.
See, okay, I would not necessarily use this type division. I mean, I would... There's a first... Oh, Orbot is Tor's VPN. Oh, okay. Well, that's a recommendation. Although, Tor has a couple of vulnerabilities that have been known for a long time, and last I heard, had not, in fact, been patched. So, also a thing to keep in mind.
Whatever that is, just look up more of that in Japanese and only watch the content made for Japanese people. For example, if you like this anime or game, you can search for anime/game name plus Daji.
Yeah, though, again, I mean, these recommendations are going to work better if you've already got a solid grounding on the, you know, if you're somewhere in the sort of B range, I would say. If you're really just starting out, it doesn't hurt as a way of getting used to hearing the language, getting used to the rhythms and the sounds and stuff. But you're going to want to supplement this with comprehensible input intended for learners in order to help get that grounding.
Kirinuki/digest, or hanno, or v hanno, or meishin, or movie/story. Or if you like a certain character, you can search character name plus toujou scene. If you like a certain streamer or creator, type creator name plus kirinuki, or totsumachi, or gyakutotsu, or korabo, or
yeah.
zatsudan.
See, I mean, and this is, okay, if you're doing it very much character-based, but of course, if you want to do, I mean, the question is that the sort of content that you're necessarily wanting to look at? because there may be other things you want to talk. Maybe you want to watch videos that talk about, I don't know, like computer stuff, gamer things. Ahoy! Sausage! Some other topic. Cookery, for example. So you would want to do this with search terms that are going to get you more of that. Maybe you get lucky and the recs randomly put you on to stuff that's good for your tastes and level. But other than that, you might have to find a native speaker and have them help you get started off with some search terms. Dobra, dobra.
If you are type B, then the problem is that 1, you don't know what you're interested in, and 2, you may or may not understand what you watch.
Yeah, I mean, and again, this is why I would suggest that you would probably, first of all, I didn't actually look at his typology, so I don't know, but I'm assuming that this would indicate that this is somebody who is earlier on, which already I would say probably this isn't the best way to go about it. If anything, I would create a specific sort of comprehensible input YouTube account where everything is recommendations for content that is in your target language for your earlier level learners of the target language, and kind of graduate to something like this. But in terms of what you want to watch, I mean, you could go with the sort of things that you just like to watch generally. There will probably be those things in your target language. So if you like something like, I don't know, one channel, like Gamers Nexus, for example, is a channel I quite like in English, which is all sorts of news about, well, they do reviews of components and PCs and things like that. The guy who is the presenter of the channel is Steve. He's just enjoyable to watch. But he also talks about the dodgy shit these companies are getting up to. And it's very interesting stuff. Great tech news channel, and the reviews are also quite entertaining, even if you're not looking to buy a computer, just to see what he finds when he, opens the bonnet on some of this stuff. But so if you like something like that, then you might put in search terms that get something like that, like PC building or tech news or something like that. If you like cookery, you would use search terms for that. You want to build something that is going to show you the stuff you're interested in your target language. And search terms are sometimes challenging. So maybe you don't necessarily know enough of your target language to come up with ideal search terms, in which case find a native speaker who can help you out, or maybe recommend you some good videos on the subject. We're going to try this out and just see what happens without a couple of the more fiddly and annoying precautions that the presenter of this video has taken. Going to drop the link to this video in chat for anyone who is just getting here, anyone wants to check it out. Because I think the idea actually works quite well no matter what your target language is. But, okay. So anything... Are VTubers good for immersion? I would say they're not. Useful tools.
Let's take a look at some tools we can take advantage of too. First, you can track how much time you're spending on immersion automatically by using a free extension called Micon, made by yours truly.
Okay, a lot of people are really obsessed with tracking the numbers and things like this. I don't think it's particularly useful. But if you can, apparently that is something that you can use. Okay, what is this?
Doing this if you are confident in your ability to spot typos in Japanese. Thirdly, you could spend some money to get Migaku, which is an all-in-one package that can also generate subtitles that are more accurate than default YouTube subtitles.
Oh wow, okay, very cool. for specific to Japanese learners, of course.
Also has the advantage of being able to scan all the subtitles and identify the sentences with one word you don't know. Then batch create Anki cards out of...
Neat. Okay, that's a neat little function, I suppose. Okay. Okay, and with that, I'm going to take a little bio break, and as I said, we're going to try this method out and just set up a YouTube account in a particular target language and see how we go with it. If anyone in chat has ideas about what that target language ought to be, I would love to hear them. I haven't entirely decided. I have a couple of ideas. We shall see. Quick bio break, and I will be back in a few minutes.
Hey, implicit connotations. I'm Elise from the Crowdfunded Translation Project, and wanted to just tell you a little bit about what that project is and give you some updates about what I've been doing with your support. The Inessa Armand project. After finishing Kalantai's social basis of the female question, I put out a call for suggestions for the next project. One of those suggestions that I received was to translate the essays and letters of Inessa Armand, Kalantai's predecessor at the Bolshevik women's section. Suppressed by Stalin and never translated into English, Armand's writings enrich our understanding of the Bolshevik women's movement in the run-up to the October Revolution and the early days of revolutionary Russia. With your support, I have been able to translate all of her extant essays and am currently raising the last $1,950 to cover the cost of translating the remainder of her extant works, which at this point is just her correspondence. If you would like to support the project, all contributions are beautiful. You'll find links in the description. The Punto Final project is a project that is really just at its inception. Punto Final, for those unfamiliar with it, i.e. likely most of the people watching this right now, was a magazine edited by Manuel Caviese Donoso that ran from 1965 to the eve of the 1973 CIA-backed coup in Chile, and then from 1989 to 2018, publishing a grand total of 894 issues. In addition to being a platform for theoretical and ideological debate, they were also a source of excellent political journalism. Their real-time analysis of political developments in Chile, the rise of the Unidad Popular, the looming coup, and the limits of electoralism has aged extremely well, and is well worth reading for anyone interested in the period. The Chilean left is sort of in a media bubble, and the Anglosphere left really doesn't do a great job of breaking that bubble and really building connections there. So the discussion that you hear in English about Chile, even in supposed left outlets, such as Jargon, often has little or nothing to do with the state of discussion amongst comrades in Chile. So this is part of my attempts to contribute to sort of breaking down that bubble and fostering some understanding of the thought amongst revolutionaries in Chile, both historically and currently. I have so far translated 7 articles, including a long read on electoralism versus armed struggle called Chile, the Ballad or the Bullet by Punto Final editor Manuel Caviese, and currently am working on various pieces of political analysis from the eve of the electoral campaign that would bring Salvador Allende to power, or at least to government. These include discussions of electoral versus revolutionary strategy and how and to what extent these things can coexist, discussions of US imperialist interference in Chilean politics, one of the challenges of this project, since its inception, has been getting the word out. The billionaire-controlled black box algorithms that dominate our lives don't like small creators or small projects. Nor are they particularly keen on ideological viewpoints that are inconsistent with the whims of billionaires. What's more, they positively detest anyone who isn't paying for reach. And then they turn around and make it ever harder to do even that in a useful way. The result of all this is that there are definitely considerably more people who would be interested in this project than actually see any of my posts about it. And that's why I have a small favor to ask you. Tell your friends about the crowdfunded translation project. Share the completed translations, link the Patreon and the Facebook pages. All those links are in the description. Let people know that this project exists and what it's all about. Let them know that I want to hear their ideas for future crowdfunded translation projects at crowdfunded_translations@elisehendrick.com. And if you've got any ideas, I'd love to hear them. Ultimately, the crowdfunded translation project is for us all. The whole idea is to translate texts that have fallen through the cracks by making it economically viable for a professional translator, i.e. me, to work on them and to make the results freely available to everyone. I think that a lot of great things are coming out of the project, and even more can result from it yet. But it all depends on making the project visible to the people who might benefit from it and consider supporting it. Thank you for watching for this length of time. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope that it will encourage you to get in touch with the crowdfunded translation project, look at our translations, to get in touch with, to get involved with the crowdfunded translation project. Make suggestions, read the translations, let people know that this exists. This could be a great resource, but it's been a real fucker trying to get the word out about it. So thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Thank you very much. Even watching this and commenting and leaving a like and sharing it on your platforms, or even to yourself in an email apparently, will help increase the visibility of this video and thus of this project. Thanks so much, and see you on the next stream. Hey, implicit connotations. Well, I'm Elise from the Crowdfunded Translation Project, and wanted to just tell you a little bit about what that project is and give you some updates about what I've been doing with your support. The Inessa Armand project. After finishing Kalantai's social basis of the female question, I put out a call for suggestions for the next project. One of those suggestions that I received was to translate the essays and letters of Inessa Armand, Kalantai's predecessor at the Bolshevik Women's section. Suppressed by Stalin and never translated into English, Agmon's writings enrich our understanding of the Bolshevik women's movement in the run-up to the October Revolution and the early days of revolutionary Russia. With your support, I have been able to translate all of her extant essays and am currently raising the last $1,950 to cover the cost of translating the remainder of her extant works, which at this point is just her correspondence. If you would like to support the project, all contributions are beautiful. You'll find links in the description. The Punto Final project is a project that is really just at its inception. Punto Final, for those unfamiliar with it, i.e. likely most of the people watching this right now, was a magazine edited by Manuel Caguese Donoso that ran from 1965 to the eve of the 1973 CIA-backed coup in Chile, and then from 1989 to 2018, publishing a grand total of 894 issues. In addition to being a platform for theoretical and ideological debate, they were also a source of excellent political journalism. Their real-time analysis of political developments in Chile, the rise of the Unidad Popular, the looming coup, and the limits of electoralism has aged extremely well, and is well worth reading for anyone interested in the period. And left is sort of in a media bubble, and the Anglosphere left.
Okay, and I am back with a cup of tea, and we're gonna see how well this works. So, Koti. This is going to be Finnish. So, what can we talk about? What can we look up? Ruoka videot. Okay, we're gonna look at some cookery content and mikä on koko Suomen paras burgeriravintola. Okay. We're just gonna look at some stuff. This is what is all of Finland's best burger restaurant. What I want to do is just see what kind of recommendations we end up. Video sisältää kaupallisen yhteistyön Anyfeedin kanssa.
Kaupallisen yhteistyön Anyfeedin kanssa. Mistä saa Suomen parhaimmat burgerit? Siitä otetaan nyt selvää. Mä tuun käymään Suomen parhaimmissa burger-paikoissa ja arvioimaan nämä mestat ruoan perusteella 1–10 ja tunnelman perusteella 1–5. Ja lopuksi paikka, joka saa kaikista eniten pisteitä, kruunataan Suomen parhaimmaksi burger-paikaksi. Minun mielestä voitte laittaa kommenttiin, miten väärässä minä olen. Mut minun mielestä.
Okay, so there we go. We're getting already some recommendations as a result of this. Let's see what the recommendations look like. Okay. Mikä on paras julkiskokkien ravintola? 15,000 kalorin haaste. Okay, so we're gonna do what was already suggested. Okay, en ole kiinnostunut. Not interested. Overwhelmingly here. Okay, we're getting ei kiinnosta. We're getting rid of the non-Finnish content. Let's see if it's already recognizing a pattern here. So, what have we got? Suomen halvin versus kallein ravintola. Öli vai aliarvostettu? Underrated or overrated? Okay, finish. Okay, shorts still are English. Okay, scrolling. So far, okay, good stuff until we get to the very end here. En ole kiinnostunut. That is finish for I am not interested. Okay, so tietokone uutiset. Computer and news, and let's see what we start getting. Okay, shorts are starting to turn up now in Finnish. But this is not okay. Most of the results here are annoyingly in English, but let's see. Okay, hopefully this is going to increase our Finnish options. Is what we're trying to do is create a we're trying to create a target language only experience in YouTube here. And so Kanarian saarilla eri budjetteilla. Suomi TikTok pilasi mun päivään. Vastaa samoin kuin muut. Okay. We are definitely improving here. Sisustetaan koti uusiksi. Okay, and this I should note, I did not create a new Google account. I just attached this to my existing, it's connected to my existing Google account. And I'm getting lots of specifically Finnish content as a result. So that is actually fairly effective. Let's see what other stuff we can add to this. What other let's see. Okay. Miten marksismi kehittyi kommunistien työväenpuolella? Okay.
Eli tää on Espoon ensimmäinen opintokerho. Tänään me mennään läpi marksilaisuuden 3 lähdettä ja 3 perusosaa ja Marxin opinnoista.
I'm just sort of cycling through this to see how quickly I can get a feed that is Finnish all Finnish language and all stuff I might actually watch. So I decided this last one is let's see, we're gonna just look at some of these. Puheenaihe.
Tervetuloa Puheenaihe-podcastiin ja tänään meillä on aiheena kommunismi ja marksismi, leninismi ja me ollaan saatu tänne haasteltavaksi kommunismin
Okay. Let's see, does this have an effect? It's giving me Madison, Wisconsin stuff. No, that's... But, on the other hand... Okay. Minä lähtin Pohjois-Karjalaan burgerille. We went to North Karelia specifically for burgers. Interesting. Okay, so my verdict here is that you can actually skip a number of the more fiddly and annoying steps that were described in that video we were watching, and just set up, linked to your existing to your existing Google account a target language account, and if you set up user interface language and location to your target language and a target language related location, and then start doing searches and watching videos and eliminating results that are not in your target language, you can actually manage to do pretty well with this. Like, all I did was a couple of searches and a couple of setting adjustments, and already I've got an all Finnish language experience. I could probably refine that considerably just by doing more searches and stuff like that, but that so that method, I will say that works. Okay. Soittolistat. Okay, everything is now set in Finnish. Näytä koko soittolista. That actually applies to apparently all accounts that are linked to a particular Google account. Now, we have some more. Let's see what we've got. We had looked at a guy who had talked about the red pill method of learning Japanese, which turned out to be nothing more than actually being aware of the plain casual forms of verbs, really, and focusing on that first. He now has one called the brain rot way to learn language. This is called Rin Nihongo Red Pill. And I'm kind of curious what the brain rot way of learning Japanese is. And so we're going to find out what the brain rot way of learning Japanese is. Drop the link in chat for anyone who wants to check out the whole thing.
In this video, I will teach you the brain rot way to learn Japanese. This requires zero effort. It has some cost to this, but it's really powerful.
Okay.
It's really powerful. So let's get straight to what it is. So the brain rot way to learn Japanese is watch short videos.
See, I actually would say watching longer videos is probably a better idea, because you want to be able to immerse yourself in the thread of the thing.
Watch short videos. Watch bunch of short videos. And I might be sounding stupid right here, but it really helped me improve my English to this level effortlessly. Like, I was doing this subconsciously. Like, I was doing this without any intention. I just like consuming like English content. Like I was kind of wondering, because of course he's a native Japanese speaker as far as I can tell. And so, I mean, he probably did not use this method to learn Japanese, so I was wondering, has he used it to learn anything? Okay, specifically short videos. Just like the culture of like English spoken countries. Before I did that, like I had no problem with like passing English tests in school. In fact, I had the highest English grade in whole school. That's how good I was. But the problem was I couldn't speak. I couldn't speak really well. But I couldn't understand native speakers. It's annoying that you study the language for so long.
I mean, I will say my experience of how they teach English in Japan, it does not surprise me that people can do well on it and still have absolutely no confidence when it comes to speaking or understanding a lot of the time. Because it's just not the particularly effective way of doing it. It's very much a conventional approach with a lot of memorization and grammar and fill-in-the-blank stuff. And that just doesn't really work well.
But still struggle to use the language in real life. Like what was it for, right? But that changed since I started watching short videos. So I will teach you the autistic details about how to do this. But before we do that, I want to quickly know why this works.
Did you say autistic details?
Because I think knowing why we are doing the thing that we are doing just makes us feel good, right? First, language requires volume. Because
volume, I guess, in terms of quantity.
This is how every kid on the planet learned their first language. They literally wait a few years. A few years.
Okay, yeah, I mean, what he's talking about here basically is comprehensible input. Of course, the trouble with just watching shorts in Japanese or any target language is they aren't necessarily going to be optimal. I don't think it will hurt. It is the general, the general framework that I also would recommend. But yeah, I mean, potentially, if you're watching the right stuff and you watch a lot of it and really pay attention to it. I mean, a lot of the time this stuff is described as effortless, but if you want to get the maximum benefit, you really have to pay attention. You really have to focus on it. So I wouldn't necessarily say that that's effortless, although it can seem to involve less effort than a lot of methods that are very highly prized, that are about rote memorization and stuff like that. There is a lot of perception of effort there, but not a whole lot of result.
To just start speaking a single word. Maybe some babies can say like mama, papa, things like that, but even those kind of words don't say that until like age of 3. So that,
I mean, usually, sometimes, but usually it'll be a little bit earlier than that.
Tells us how much volume we actually need to master a language. And short form content gives you that volume, really.
Except, I don't know that I necessarily agree that short form content is best for that. Because it's not just quantity, which is, he does mean quantity when he's saying volume here. There is a qualitative aspect to it. The more that you have a thread to follow, the more that you can actually kind of get into it and just stay with it for a while, the more you're going to get out of it for the most part. And the really short form actually doesn't give you a whole lot to immerse yourself into.
Fast. And so that's the reason
I would actually recommend longer form content for the most part.
Another reason why this works is because we need variety of context.
I mean, I agree with that.
Language
definitely.
It's made of a bunch of different contexts.
Yeah.
We don't just talk about one topic all day. We don't just talk about game all day. We don't just talk about romance all day. We don't just talk about work all day.
I don't know. It depends on.
We use kind of different language.
I've known people who do.
Different vocabularies, different way of speaking, different way of ending if it's in Japanese, different way of formal speech, casual speech, especially in Japanese, and that changes based on topic, situation, relationship. When you watch 30 minutes of short videos, you probably consume like 20 to 30 different videos.
Yeah, I mean, there is sense to what he's saying, but I think that actually the fact that context keeps breaking, like you're not following the same person necessarily through different contexts. You're not necessarily, there isn't a narrative thread that's connecting things. I think probably actually weakens it.
Which means different context, and they're all real, and they're all native. Think about how powerful that is. But if it was like a traditional method like Japanese textbook, it only gives you one context, Japanese, things like that, and also one register, and they just repeat a cycle over and over again. When you're consuming short form contents, you're exposing yourself in many different type of contexts.
I mean, I agree with the need for the variety of context. I just think it's probably better if you do it, if you use longer form stuff. Not necessarily 45 minutes at a stretch. That might be difficult at the start, but definitely more than like a lot of when you talk about short form content. A lot of it's like 30 seconds. That's just long enough to get into it. And then it's already over.
It's powerful. You're literally training your brain automatically without even thinking about it. Your brain is absorbing the language without you.
Yeah, when you read a book and it's about a fox, the 10th time you see the word fox, you might already know what it means. But when the shorts are... Yeah, exactly. I mean, and plus the thing is, you are training your brain. And the thing is, when you're watching nothing but short form context, that actually is not great for your overall attention span. And you actually, it's good to have a longer attention span. It has a lot of advantages. So, actually being able to follow the thread for a more extended period of time, I'm talking, at the beginning, maybe 15, 30 minutes or whatever, it doesn't have to be that long, is actually a good thing. There are advantages to it.
Actually, like, feeling like you're putting effort, but your brain is still doing the job of absorbing the language that's used in different type of context. So that's number 2. And then number 3, the third reason why this works is because it's so freaking easy. It's so freaking easy that you will actually stay consistent. Now, the reason why we quit...
Yeah, the cheap dopamine work in your favor. Yeah, except again, you can get fairly cheap dopamine on longer form content. The key is not so much the key is to find stuff that's actually interesting in some way. Stuff that you will actually want to follow. The trouble with like short form content, you watch it for 30 seconds, it's over. Maybe you manage to pick up the thread by the end of it, but then the thread's gone. The good thing with YouTube Shorts is there are a lot of videos where there's someone describing the exact thing that is on the video. The kind of normally useless commentary becomes useful. Yeah, very true.
Of course, the things we are doing feels too hard for our level. But what if it's easy? If it's easy and requires zero effort, just grabbing a phone, opening an app, and just scroll. I know you already do it. So it's fucking easy. So let the cheap dopamine work in your favor. Cheap dopamine is bad. It's bad. But when it comes to language learning, it can work in our favor. So it's like...
It potentially can. I disagree with the length. The overall idea, a lot of his reasoning, I think makes a lot of sense. I wasn't sure how much I was going to like this the last time, based on the last thing that I saw of his. But, I mean, what he's saying here definitely makes a lot of sense. Except... Okay, you'll kill your attention span, yeah, but there's a fix. Well, see, personally, I will say, instead of having a fix, it's actually probably better if you don't cause the problem in the first place if you can avoid it. And in this case, there are ways to avoid it in the first place. But okay, let's hear it.
To benefit from this easy language learning system, do intentionally. Just set a timer and do it for 30 minutes to 40 minutes a day. You don't want to do this all day because you will feel like shit after, for sure. You will like shit after, so yeah, just keep it focus session.
Wait, you'll feel like shit afterwards? That doesn't sound like... Okay, first of all, I don't think that's necessarily an advantage. I mean... What about... I personally like methods where you don't feel like shit afterwards, if there are ways to not feel like shit afterwards.
I don't want to mindless scroll. As an educator, as someone who gives advice to people, I don't really want to recommend scrolling on social media because it's bad. We all know that it's bad. So I want to do it intentionally. Okay?
Mindful scrolling.
Even just 30 minutes. And 30 minutes equals 20 to 30 videos, which means 20 to 30 different contexts. That's a massive exposure.
Again, this is kind of very much quantity over quality here. And this is where I would tend to disagree. Precisely because, yeah, you're getting these different contexts, although sometimes, because of the way the algorithm works, you'll probably, there's a good chance you'll end up getting the same type of context over and over and over again, which, I mean, means you're not getting that variety. But, yeah, so the trouble here is that you don't get enough time to really spend time with the context. You need to be able to you want to find stuff you can spend some time with. That is where the real benefit comes in, if you can actually sit there and spend some time with it. I have a channel on YouTube where it's only French and German, and I watch YouTube shorts on it a lot, but 60% is some stupid jokes or commercial. Yeah, exactly. That stuff gets old really quickly as well. And yeah, and like, fuck watching all the commercials too. Yeah, that sucks.
You're exposing yourself to so many information, so many languages, so many type of vocabularies, grammar, the language patterns in all different contexts. So 30 minutes every single day compounds really huge. So to protect your attention span and your time and your dopamine system, do it intentionally. Set a timer, okay? And there's one more important thing that we need to talk about.
Oh, this is the fix. This is his fix for it screwing up your attention span. It doesn't seem like a fix to me. I mean, you're limiting the damage to some extent, I guess. But I think you would probably actually get a better result where if you were watching one 30-minute video, if it was optimal input, if it was, optimal content and stuff like that, one 30 to 40 minute video would probably be better than watching 30 to 40 or 20 to 30 shorts.
To make you sound fluent, to make you speak the language like a native, not like textbook, which is fill your feed with content made for Japanese people. No.
Okay, that's kind of a funny tie-in with the thing we were looking at a minute ago. And it turns out it's actually easier to do than that video was making it out to be. Because I did not create a separate Google account. I just set location settings to Finland and threw in some just basic Finnish search terms. And I was already getting a not particularly diversified feed because I'd only done a couple of search terms, only watched a couple of videos. But it was all in Finnish. So you can do this without that.
For foreigners, not for Japanese learners. Because I'm going to be honest with you, most creators who are teaching Japanese on social media, they're teaching robotic and unnatural language. No, you don't sound like that. Because you have to unlearn this language to speak like this. Because no Japanese kids learn this kind of language first. There's literally no point wasting your time learning robotic unnatural language because you have to unlearn this later.
Well, I mean, it depends. I would say there are creators who definitely do, and there are a lot of creators these days who don't, though, who actually really do provide you with natural language. I mean, like, we occasionally watch videos from Context First Japanese with Yuta on this channel, and he's a good example of somebody who gives you some very natural languages. Also, Kaname Naito, his channel, actually very natural. There are a couple of Japanese for learners, Japanese listening podcasts, where the language tends to be quite natural, even if the speed is somewhat nerfed.
When you realize, oh, my language sounds different from native speakers. Am I sounding weird?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you're going to sound weird. It takes some time. There's going to be a phase of sounding a bit weird, and you just have to get used to it. Everybody has had it. If you keep going, and you keep interacting, and you keep reading, and you keep listening and watching stuff in your target language, you're going to get past it, including with Japanese, where there is a lot more that you have to get used to than a lot of languages you might be learning.
It's just a waste of time. So find creators who are making content for Japanese people because they give you the real native language.
Yeah, but they're also going to speak very fast. Because Japanese is just a fast language.
That's how you set up. Find a Japanese creator making content for Japanese people. And watch them for 10 minutes, comment, like, and engage. So you're basically feeding the algorithm, training your algorithm.
Yeah.
Your algorithm sees pattern, and they start showing you more videos.
It's funny that we're watching, that we're getting this again. This is the same, this is a version of the same advice we were just looking at. And it does work. If you want to like get an all target language feed. I bet you could actually just set up multiple accounts that are nothing but like target language accounts in different languages and just be able to switch between them. That would probably work fairly well.
And once it's done, your feed trains itself. You never have to search it again. Your feed, your For You page will be filled up with...
I mean, you will probably get better stuff if you keep searching, especially because you're going to get better at search terms, better at choosing things that you actually care about. And the more you do that, the more interesting your feed's going to end up being.
Sure, like entertainment videos made by Japanese people, made for Japanese people. Just in case you don't know any good creator who's making content for Japanese people, I have some recommendation. I put the link of his like
Oompa Loompa. Okay.
Down below, so you can go follow him and consume his contents and train your algo. He's got 2 million followers and he's so famous. And the reason why I like his videos is because he's using casual Japanese and he's speaking native Japanese. So I'm pretty sure that a lot of you are...
I mean, there are lots of creators who are doing those things on YouTube. I don't know that I would necessarily recommend all of them because some of them suck. I don't know that particular creator. I've never actually heard of him, but okay. So actually not bad advice, I would say. Although I would disagree on the length. Okay, we had looked at a channel a couple of weeks ago called British English Teacher Roy, and he has something called Say These 16 Phrases and Sound British Instantly. I'm kind of curious what the 16 phrases are. I lived in Wales for a time, and so I'm curious just how many of these I would pick as
learning British
typical.
English and want to sound more natural when you speak? Well, in this video, I'm going to teach you 16 real English expressions that native British people use every single day. And in fact,
Okay, here we go.
What each of the phrases means, when to use it, and we'll also talk about natural pronunciation.
Drop in the link in chat for anyone who wants to see the whole thing. We are going to be skipping about a bit. Right out. Yeah, also true with shorts. Sometimes you have stuff where nobody says a word, and that's not particularly useful if you're trying to learn the language with it.
First up, we have "you're right."
Oh God,
Right,
yes.
This is a casual greeting.
Absolutely. Okay, this is definitely an important one. It is an important one, especially, like, I would say for, like, native English speakers who are not used to Britain. You will hear this all the time, and you will think people are asking if you are okay. They are not. It is either a way of saying hi, or sometimes it's a way of saying, what the hell are you doing here? And you get used to the difference in tone.
You're right. And it isn't really asking, are you sick? Are you unwell?
Yeah.
It's more about saying hi. You're right is a
You're
standard
right.
kind of replacement for hi. So if you're in the
Yeah,
street and you see someone...
you hear this. I mean, in South Wales, you hear this all the time. Definitely an important one, and one that is easily misunderstood by North Americans and people used to North American English.
I say, you're right. And the common reply to this is, you're right. So, you're right?
Yeah.
You're right. And sometimes you will hear somebody go, yeah, you, and then the answer is yeah. So the exchange could be, you're right, yeah, you, yeah. And that is it.
Yeah.
You're not asking for a detailed kind of description of your life. The pronunciation, you're right.
Yeah. Well, you're right. You're right, but...
You're right. So it's kind of a, you, all right.
Yeah.
All right?
I mean, a lot of the time, the U is just the letter Y. It's just, you're right. You're right. Okay, fancy, oh yeah, important. Important also to note that fancy has kind of a double life. Because, well, triple really. Because you can say, I fancy, and it means I think, I speculatively believe. You can say you fancy someone, and it kind of means you'd like to sleep with them. Or you can just fancy something, and it means you feel like it. You fancy a cup of tea. You fancy a pizza.
Two is
definitely
fancier.
important.
Fancier. This basically means, do you want a? So we should really say, do you fancy a, like, do you fancy a cup of tea or do you fancy going out for dinner? But quite commonly we just get rid of that do you and just make it fancier. So for example,
absolutely. Definitely an important one. Definitely one that gets a lot of use. Yeah, here we go. Fancy a cuppa. Yeah, this is possibly the most commonly used phrase in Britain. You will hear this all the time. Everyone, you arrive in a place, somebody wants to know if you fancy a cuppa being tea. They will put milk in it. They like this. I personally don't, so I ask for it without. 2 bags left in, no milk, no sugar. This is my tea order, and people will look at you in Britain as if you're a serial killer with that particular tea order, but I like it so.
Cuppa. Number 3 is pop. I'm just popping out.
Yeah. Or you can pop round, which means to visit somebody. Yes, popping and nipping, very important. Both, like nipping, I think, tends to indicate more spontaneity and more speed involved in it. But yeah.
So if somebody says, I'm just popping out, it means leaving the house for a short period of time. Maybe you're going to the shop, the post office, into town maybe. I'm just popping out to grab some milk. How common...
Oh, yes. You can also... But popping round indicates that somebody's, like, visiting. Like, yeah, Nigel popped round the other day. Means that Nigel came over and visited spontaneously.
People will drop that sound at the end and it becomes more like popping, popping, popping out, popping out. An alternative to popping out would be nipping out. This has the same meaning. So nip and pop, both.
Okay, so next one. Okay, yeah, next another important
Number 4,
one.
something a lot of people say is, I can't be bothered.
Yes, and there are stronger forms of it. Of course, there's can't be asked, can't be fucked, can't be buggered. You can put can't be pretty much any verb that has a somewhat negative connotation, and it all means the same thing, meaning you don't feel like doing the thing, you really don't want to do it.
Or just can't
important.
Be bothered. This means I don't feel like it, or I don't have the energy or interest. We'll talk about a slightly ruder version of this.
Yeah, can't be asked. Okay, he does get into it. Cheers. So many different things that means. Yeah, it can be thanks. It can be bye. Lots.
Cheers. Cheers means thanks. Sometimes we kind of use it for bye as well. This is classic. We use it everywhere.
Yeah, very important. A good one to just get used to. You will hear it all the time. Like if you, if you're at the pub and you order something and they bring it to you, you go, yeah, cheers, mate. Just get, definitely a useful one. Skipping ahead.
Is your favorite. Number 6, fair enough. This means...
this means nothing. This means fuck all. What this means is you don't want to discuss the thing further. Yeah, just like, it's like sounds legit, kind of. But mostly the idea is you are kind of trying to avoid a further discussion of the thing and you want to move on. That is really what's going on with fair enough. Yeah, I mean, there could be a whole video and maybe he's done it. Somebody will have done it because there are memes about it. About the phrases that people in Britain will use that other English speakers think mean that they're being agreed with, that actually mean, I think you're full of shit. I think you're full of shit and I do not want to talk to you any further. There is a whole category of misunderstandings just around exactly this.
That's reasonable, I understand. It can also mean okay then, but it's sometimes a bit reluctant, like, whatever. But
yeah, exactly.
That's okay. Fair enough. Number 7, a phrase I use all the time, no worries. No.
Yeah, I mean, just, you can respond to thanks with that, you can respond to finding out that something isn't possible that you were hoping were possible, lots of things. Definitely. These are all very much the lubricant of the English language as spoken in Britain. Very...
Number 8 is something I use quite often. I realised as I was making this list, to be honest.
Okay, I'm very curious what he has to say about to be honest. Because to be honest, I mean, that's something that you hear actually in a lot of places.
To be honest, is a soft way to introduce and express a personal opinion and possibly a negative opinion.
Yeah, nothing good follows. This is true of everywhere. The difference, if anything, is that it is likely to be less obvious how much they think whatever you just said sucks. You know, to be honest, I think that's a very interesting way of doing it. But, which actually means, yeah, what you just said sucks shit, and we're going to do something different.
That. So it's kind of introducing that my opinion is coming, get ready for it. So, did you like that film? To be honest, I wasn't really a fan of the ending. Number 9, not fussed.
Yeah, not fussed either way, actually. Yeah, important. This is what you say when you actually have a very strong opinion, but you're trying to be polite, and you are essentially allowing somebody the opportunity to notice that you actually have a strong opinion, but you don't feel that it's a situation where you can comfortably express it.
Either way. I'm not fussed either way. This kind of means I don't really mind. I'm pretty easy. This is another expression, to be easy, although we will talk about that a little bit. It's like saying, I don't really have an opinion on this. You do what you want. So if somebody says...
yeah, okay, and now we intensify. If somebody then tops that off with, it's not the end of the world, you know whatever direction that things are going, whatever you're suggesting, that they have first not been fussed either way about. And then are saying it's also not the end of the world. What they're saying is that what you've just suggested as the outcome sucks. They're saying, actually, that this is rather terrible, and they would very much like something else to happen, other than whatever you were just suggesting is going to happen, or what just happened.
It's not the end of the world. This is something British people say quite often. It means it's not a big deal. Stay calm.
Yes, but really what it means is it sucks. Hang on a sec. Yeah, I mean, that's not very specifically written. Bit of a nightmare. I wouldn't say that's specific. Can't complain. Got any others? It's doing my head in. Yeah, definitely a useful one there. That, see... That is the subtext of saying that you're not fussed either way, and it's not the end of the world. It's probably actually doing your head in, annoying the hell out of you, pissing you off.
Doing my head in. So this means it's really annoying me. It's absolutely driving me insane. I cannot take it anymore. Oh, that noise is doing my head in. I think I need to move.
Yes, but the way this will actually be expressed is more like, oh, it's not the end of the world. Can't be fussed either way. Not fussed either way, really. Do what you'd like. But actually, the subtext is it's doing your head in, and you would really like to strangle the person who's doing whatever the thing you aren't fussed either way about is. But you won't say so because you're English. Okay, actually, I'm not being funny, but... I will say I have... Oh, nice one. Oh, that's a good one. That is an important one, because that, like, if you do somebody a favor, for example, that you will hear this.
Here's doing my head in. Next up, we have nice one. Nice one basically means great, well done, or thanks. Often when somebody's done something for you, like, oh, you booked the table. Oh, nice one. This is often delivered with a short, kind of enthusiastic tone. And this one is something I use quite a bit.
I will say I don't think I ever have heard this. Maybe it's not a thing in Wales. Maybe they're always being funny.
And this one is something that I do say a lot. I'm not being funny, but we use this when we're about to say something quite direct, quite awkward, and potentially quite negative. And it's like saying, look, don't take it the wrong way, but this is my opinion. So maybe somebody's wearing...
okay, like, I don't think I have ever heard anyone say that. I wonder if it's regional. He sounds very Southern English. Okay, I'm curious about this one, because I don't think I've ever heard anyone say it.
A new shirt, and I say, look, I'm not being funny, but that is not your colour. You need to change your shirt. Or I'm not being funny, but that film was awful. So it's a way of kind of introducing something quite negative. In terms of pronunciation, notice the way I say I'm becomes more like I'm not being funny. And not, we glottalize that. I'm not being funny. I'm not being funny. And again, when I went we kind of drop that to an sound. I'm not...
Okay. That was, okay. That was interesting. That was good. Those were definitely, apart from that last one, which surprised me, because I've definitely never heard anyone say not being funny, but yeah. Other than that, yeah. I mean, definitely a good list of phrases. Definitely things you will encounter. And let's see what Kevin's got to say today. We're gonna see who he's going to be correcting in his very anal way. Not being funny, but oh wow! Now he's moved. He's changed. He's changed surroundings. Now he's on an intersection. Wow, he's on an intersection. Is he gonna do the thing where he just does 5 minutes as standing at an intersection, and then just shows old content? Is that what this is going to be?
The English for Everyone, where we practice real-life American English. Today I'm walking around my neighborhood here in Pacific Grove, California. And we're going to learn to avoid some important mistakes. So let's get started. First,
see, personally, let me just say, in terms of avoiding important mistakes, if you're publishing a video for an unspecified audience on the internet, maybe don't tell them where your neighborhood is. Even if you don't give specifics, like, because somebody, like, it's fairly trivial to figure out exactly where this is. And you don't necessarily want random people to be able to find exactly where you live. So I would not do this. I would, like, I would, if I did this, I certainly would not say, I'm going to walk around my neighborhood and then give a general area. Not a good security practice, actually. Because, like, yeah, you don't necessarily know who's going to watch that and go, oh.
let's watch a clip.
You'll also be learning vocabulary, simple phrases, natural expressions, and you'll hear real native English speakers.
Like, I mean, he has excellent pronunciation. Why are we gonna slag this guy off?
All right, we're gonna learn it.
Well, we're gonna slag this guy off because it's Kevin. And that's, like, the only thing he does. Like, he could do interesting, like, he could do content where he walks around the neighborhood and has interactions and then explains interesting things about English that you see in those interactions. That would be a better channel than what he does. It would be more worthy of the following that he has than what he actually does, but he doesn't do that.
English with real native speakers. Let's watch another clip.
These two are chips, and this
Vietnamese chips, it looks like. Vi dom gang de lo for my tan chai. I don't know enough Vietnamese to actually say what any of that means. But okay, so we got Vietnamese flavors of Lay's. Probably very good.
Is peanuts.
This is peanuts?
Well, you're not saying these are peanuts in this context, actually, Kevin. Fuck off. That's like, he's saying this is a thing that is peanut flavored. If anything, like, if you wanted to be this nitpicky, if you wanted to be a Kevin about this, you would say this is peanut, because you're saying this is peanut flavored. But, like, this is peanuts, actually, I feel like that actually would be okay. You would say that this is peanuts, like, as in, this bag here is a bag that contains peanuts. Like, seriously, fuck off, Kevin.
I cannot say this is peanuts.
I can.
We use this is when you have something singular.
Well, that's the thing. There is something singular. It's a bag. It's a packet. This packet is peanuts. As in, it is a packet that contains them. Like, we can say that, actually. Does he explain why he's walking around in the middle of the street in his neighborhood? Does everyone know that this is just what he does?
Example, this is a car. Something countable. Or this is soup. Something that's not countable.
No, soup is countable. Yeah, you can have soups. There are 5 soups on the table. Give me 3 give me 3 soups. Give me 3 tomato soups. Would be an order that you might give at a restaurant. Soup is countable and not countable depending on the context. We cannot say soup is not countable. We can count soup. This is a soup from Kerala. It's called Milagutani, and it's very good. This is a soup from Kerala. See, I just used soup with an indefinite article. I have just blown Kevin's mind.
But both are singular. We say this is. But peanuts? We cannot say this is peanuts. We say these.
He gets indignant about it too. We cannot say this is peanuts.
These are peanuts.
Would you? But yeah, think about it for a second though, Kevin. You're pointing at a bag of something. I'm actually relieved to know that that's a bag of peanuts, because I wasn't actually sure what that was a picture of. But like, would you actually say that when you point at a closed bag that contains peanuts? Or would you say this is peanuts because you're saying this bag?
Not this is peanuts. These are peanuts. Let's practice. What are these?
Yeah, but would you say what are these? When Kevin, think about it for half a second here. Would you... Okay, you look at this bag. You don't understand Vietnamese and you don't know what that picture is exactly. You know, would you say what's this? Or would you say what are these? I'm pretty sure you'd say what's this because it's one bag.
These peanuts?
And no, you'd probably say, is this peanut? Or is this a bag of peanuts? Or, I mean, you might even say, is this peanuts? Is this the peanuts? Like, yeah, let's say you have several bags and you've been told one of them contains peanuts. But you don't read Vietnamese, so you don't know which one it is based on the writing. You might say, is this the peanuts? And that would be a totally normal thing to say. So, no, Kevin.
That's right, these are peanuts. Let's watch another clip.
Write your answers in the comments.
Can you give me 3 differences between these 2 bags of Lay's chips? Ah, okay. So it does actually have English there. Wait, okay, those are not peanuts. Those are pictures of coconuts. It's coconut flavored something. Maybe it's coconut flavored peanuts. I don't fucking know.
So first of all, the bags are different colors. They are also different flavors. And finally, they are different sizes.
I cannot say the bags are different flavors. The bags themselves taste the same. They taste like nothing. Is that what what's he gonna do? What is he gonna have a go at here?
Let me know if you guys had similar answers to me or different answers.
Let me know if you guys had similar answers to me.
Like, yes, people say that.
We cannot say similar answers to me.
Well, yeah, I mean, see, this is the wisdom of actually saying, like, you can go on Google Street View. I'm not saying nobody, like, seriously, I'm not trying to dox Kevin here. I'm just saying why you shouldn't do this. Because you can go on, if somebody gives you that much information, you can just go on Google Street View until you find something similar, and you've like fucking, they've doxed themselves. That's not don't do that. Like, don't, if you have a YouTube channel, especially if you have a big YouTube channel like this, maybe don't walk around your neighborhood, and if you do walk around your neighborhood, don't say it's your neighborhood. Go to some other part of town. Go to a different town, or don't say that this is where you're from. It's a bad security practice is all.
It's not a person. We say, to mine. Let me know if you guys had similar answers to mine.
No, because you are the people who are the havers of the answers, and I am a fellow haver of answers. You can also say similar answers to me. People say it. Prescriptively, maybe it's not the best, but it's. I would hardly I would hardly say that was wrong. It does not read. You know, sometimes somebody says something and it's like, yeah, you wouldn't say it that way. But I feel like this is actually something that you would say.
Referring to my answers. Not me, the person. To mine. So it's correct.
Similar answers to me, as in me, the person who had the answers.
To say, let me know if you guys had similar answers to mine. Not similar answers to me. This is not correct. Or I can say, let me know if you had similar answers to his. Meaning his answers. Not similar answers to him, but similar answers to his. So let
Yeah, no, I mean, shut up, Kevin.
me know if you had similar answers to his. Let's make it a question. Did you have similar answers to his?
Yeah, I had the same answers as him.
That's right, I had similar answers to his. Let's watch another clip.
For me.
Ooh, let's watch another clip. I'm so excited to be watching another clip. I can't wait to find out what he will what he will correct this time. I still it just mystifies me that he has this many subs off of this fucking channel. This is all he does as far as I can tell. I have never just clicked on a video of his and seen him doing anything other than what he's doing here. It is literally all he does.
Usually like my soups and dishes spicy, but I think for pho specifically, I prefer it without spice. Same thing with fried rice. I prefer those.
You know, did you notice that? He said soups plural. Is Kevin going to, like, correct him for that as if that's wrong?
Dishes without any additional spice. What about you? Do you prefer to always add spice to your food, or only sometimes, or never? Can you eat spicy food?
Wait, do you add spice to your food?
What the fuck is wrong with that? That is what you would say. Like, what the what is he gonna say you're supposed to say if not that?
And can you eat spicy food?
What's wrong with that?
He thinks that's the same thing.
No, I don't think he necessarily thinks it's the same thing, Kevin. I think he thinks there's overlap in meaning. And the reason he thinks that there's overlap in meaning, that do you add spice to your food, can mean do you add spices that increase the spice level of your food. The reason he thinks there's overlap in the meaning there, Kevin, is because there is overlap in the meaning. That is that is one way of saying it. Whoa. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he knows Russian. At least he's married to a Russian woman.
It's not the same thing. If you add spice to your food, that is not necessarily spicy.
Yeah, not necessarily. Notice that he had to add the word necessarily. He knows that this is bullshit. Because if he were, the question is, can it mean the thing that he just said? And clearly, Kevin knows it can mean the thing that Volka just used it to mean. Because it can, and often does.
So you can say, I add spice to my food, and I can be talking about oregano, or paprika. These.
I don't think so, actually. Now I really have to disagree, because if I were saying that, I would first of all, there's paprika that's spicy, Kevin. There is hot paprika. It's really good. If you haven't had Szeged hot paprika, chat, go and get some. It is one of the best things out of Hungary, apart from like bull's blood. Which is wine, I should hasten to note for anyone who's not familiar. Really good wine. They make very good wine in Hungary. but that can add spiciness to your food. But the thing is, if I am talking about adding oregano or, I don't know, turmeric or basil or something like that, I don't think I would say add spice. I would say add seasoning. That's the word I would use there, Kevin. Not add spice. I am much more likely to say add spice to my food if my food is spicier after I do it.
Spices are not spicy. So adding spice to your food does not mean you're making it spicy.
No, it certainly can mean that, though, Kevin.
They're different.
This motherfucker probably adds, like, when he adds spice to his food, it's mayonnaise.
So let's talk about spice. It can be countable. Like, I add a spice. This is my favorite spice. Or I add spices, more than one. Like paprika or oregano. These are spices. But it does not make your food spicy. If your food is spicy, that means it's hot. Spicy. Not the same as spice.
Like, not the same as does not necessarily mean completely different too, though, Kevin. You can... Yeah, it's not quite the same thing. It is, however, it overlaps. And honestly, thinking about it, chat, we got some native English speakers in here. If somebody says they're adding spice to their food, not spices, spice, would you say that, I mean, I know, I want an honest answer, just how you would understand them to be meaning this. Like, don't necessarily, you know, I'm not asking for people to agree with me if you don't, but if you heard somebody say they're adding spice to their food, would you assume that the food is spicier, hotter after they do that, or not? See, I personally think, I mean, my feeling if somebody says that is that it's probably going to be hotter after they do it. But that may not always be the case. Maybe there's a regional variation. And on that very bland note, yeah, I mean, that would be my feeling. It is time for us to wrap up. And let me just say thank you to everyone who joined in. It looks like I may be taking tomorrow off, going on a little bit of a road trip. I don't know for sure about that. It depends on the weather. Also, thanks to everyone's support. I am only $50 short of the current goal for the Punto Final translation project. Just 50 to go out of 1,500. Manage that. Anyone who wants to contribute to that can do so over at this link that I'm dropping in chat. Thank you to everyone who joined in. Either I will be here tomorrow, or probably I won't. If I'm not there tomorrow, then I'll be here on Friday at 4:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, as always. Have a good evening.